So welcome, welcome, welcome to a bright Monday morning for at the water cooler. We are so excited for you all to be here, to spend the next day and a half engaged in stimulating conversations, finding solutions to issues and challenges that we talk about, and really think about where we're going in the future. So my name's Camille Maben. I am the Executive Director of First Five California. And honored to be asked to be your MC for the next couple of a day and a half. So, but I'm also, and this is the very cool thing for me, is the Birth to 12 conference. This is where I get to put a foot in both areas, because I'm also a school board member. And I've been a school board member for 28 years. Yeah, well, really, that's so nice. And it's very funny because I'm up for re-election next November, not next month, a year from now. And so they're all saying the same thing to me. Well, I'm sure you're not going to run again. I'm sure you're not going to run again. And so I always say, yeah, probably not. It's time for somebody new. But then I kind of throw them. And I say, yeah, but I've said that the last 4 elections, you know? So they're all wondering whether or not. And so is my family wondering whether or not I'm going to do it. I will tell you, my first year on the school board, the outstanding issue was not funding, was not negotiations, was not boundary changes, was not, how transportation, special education. It was the fact that we had a 2nd grade teacher tell her children there was no tooth fairy. That was the big controversy in our district. And trust me, it was big. And I didn't know what to do. TV was there, local news, everybody was there. And I couldn't quite believe why Jewel thought she needed to say that to 2nd graders, but I guess they were having a conversation and she did. But like with most other things, we survived, we lived through it to fight another day. And as far as I know, the kids still think there is a tooth fairy. The 2nd graders still think we did away with that. We are celebrating at the water cooler this year our 10th year. We've been doing this for 10 years. That's kind of amazing. I know. And it has always been, the water cooler has always been a critical space where we can all come together, we can vet ideas, elevate key issues, get a greater understanding of what our colleagues across the board are thinking, and work together on a collaborative agenda on educational equity. Over the years, it's been very funny, because I think about what we've always said is, you need to have the conversations in this room and not around the water cooler tomorrow, not in the parking lot. Because that's where all the good stuff happens. Have you been to those meetings? Everybody is kind of quiet, but go in the parking lot after it's over and, oh, there's a buzz. The whole thing about the water cooler and when it came together was the buzz needed to come in the room. We really needed to have those conversations and build those relationships in the room. And so for those folks, for Molly Munger, who started this whole idea around the water cooler and building those relationships, it really, really was critical. And so proud of her and all of the folks. Can you just take a moment with me and thank John Kim and his staff at the Advancement Project for putting this all together. It is not easy. It's like having a big dinner party and worrying that nobody's going to come, So know how that is. So thank you for all the work that they did there. When we started, we were all, and I'm looking at Kim, when we started it, we were in a room, and it was always crowded, and it was just on the early side, and we always managed, it was a day, we had great conversation, and then we'd be off and running. But to see how it's grown over the years and where this idea of really having those conversations has evolved to is really something to be celebrated. And so glad this idea came and went. It's funny, when I went through the run of show with folks, they kind of tell you what's going to happen and what you're going to do. And they said, tell a story. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. And they usually say, tell a story about your grandkids, because I've been talking about them for a long time. And somebody, when I came in this morning, said, so how old's your granddaughter who you've talked about? Is she 10? She's 13. So that's how long we've been doing this. Okay, so I'm not going to talk so much about the 13-year-old who doesn't talk so much to us anymore right now, but who has eye rolling down to a science, and she's in 7th grade and all is good. But we have I'm lucky enough, we have 6 grandkids from 2 to 13. And I'll just tell you right now, the 2-year-old is my favorite. For now. That may change over time, but right now he is just great. And he's very funny. But it was the 5-year-old, one of our granddaughters turned 5 last week, and she came in, so we're having the party that you got. And anymore, you don't just have a birthday party where you invite 3 friends over. She had just come from a spa party. She's 5. Her hair was glittered, her nails were done. She was in heaven, and I thought, who thinks of this? So we just had the regular, family party, and someone had given her a gift card. And so she opened it up, and she looked at it, she said, oh, Mommy, look, my first credit card. And I thought, oh my goodness, how times have changed. The only thing that helps is that, she then went on to play with her dolls and play with her trucks and play with whatever. And so I know that kid is still in there somewhere, but it was pretty funny. So during this 2-day conference, during this time together, we're going to hear about the intentional efforts from our education leaders on how to bring our 2 systems together, ECE and K-12, to build this collective agenda that we were talking about, at the root of which is the relationships that we have with each other. Here's the opportunity for us to build those in this day and a half. The great thing about the water cooler is the timing. It's ahead of next year's legislative session, so there's a really good time to think about that, to think what we should be talking to our policymakers about and how we move forward. We're going to have an opportunity to hear from some of them so they can give us not only information, but help us better understand the whys of where folks are going and that vision, which will be amazing. I'm going to say thank you to all those who help us sponsor the water cooler. If you look on the back of your brochure, there is a hefty group of logos, and those are all the people that help make this possible. And so we just want to make sure that you see those and know who's helping to make this possible. We made a couple of changes, which is, I think you're going to like this one. We're not going to spend a lot of time introducing people and reading their bios. Okay, you can clap now. Yes, that's a good one. So their bios are all in the program. So you can read up on those folks, check them out, and see what they've done and who they are, but we're just going to kind of roll right into that as we go throughout the day. But before we get started, we're going to have some logistics. The restrooms are on the second floor, okay? Good news is coffee and water are going to be available all day long at the back of the room or right outside the door, so make sure you get those. Advancement project staff or be here to help, answer questions or point you in the right direction. And they are kind of interspersed all over, so just make sure you grab one of them if you have a question. We also, and this is the other evolution, we also have a hashtag. Okay, so it's hashtag birth to 12. So we encourage you all to take time to, go to that hashtag and tell us what you're thinking, and so that'll get posted. I really don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, but I hope you do, okay? The staff from First 5 California is now rolling their eyes going, yeah, she doesn't know a thing about that. So, but make sure you do that, okay? That's a good one. So we also have evaluation forms located at the center of your table, and we're hoping that throughout the day you will take the time to fill those out. So I'm going to end with one more story, and it's a fall story. So because a very long time ago, and some of you may have already heard it, a very long time ago, I did used to work in a preschool, and I was just we were just talking about the fact that sometimes when you just need to help your heart to swell a little bit, going into a preschool classroom can do that. So I worked there, and so we in the fall had pumpkins for the kids. And the deal was, you picked a pumpkin when you were going into school, and you could take it to the backyard, and you could paint it, you could carve it, you could do anything you want to it, and there it is. So I had this little boy who was very verbal, very tip, 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 all the time. And he came in, and he said, and he picked the biggest pumpkin there was. But the deal was, you had to get it to the backyard. No adult was going to help you. So he said, this is the one I want. And we said, yeah, okay, good luck. Have at it. He said, but I can't get it there. I got to figure it out. So he hemmed and hawed and stood, and finally, corralled a couple of his friends, took them, got them, they all heaved it up, and rolled it to the backyard and got it up on the table. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm going to carve it. Now, some might say, oh my gosh, you're letting 3 and 4-year-olds carve their own pumpkin. Well, we didn't give them huge knives or machetes. It was that little pumpkin knife, and it was a big pumpkin. And he said, well, I want to carve it. And we said, okay, have at it. He said, but it's too hard. Yeah, you can do it. And so this little kid started. Oops, sorry. It's too hard. I can't do it. I think you can. And he stayed with his pumpkin for 45 minutes, the entire time saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. And all of a sudden, really, literally about at the end of 45 minutes, the final piece pops out, and he looks up and he says, astounded, he says, I did it. And we said, yeah, you did. We have a great opportunity right now to say, I did it. We've been waiting for a long time. We've been for years. But now we have an opportunity. We have a governor who likes us. I think he loves us. And he loves, for sure, babies. So we've got that. We've got a legislature who also really knows and understands how important the connection. They love babies, which is great, but they also still love those K-12 people and understand the power of that connection. So the stars are lining up, folks. So I think most of all, what we want to say at the end of these couple of years is, we did it.